What what tools have become your friends recently? Like what things have really helped you like maintain your focus, uh, trust your heart, and actually take those aligned actions?
Tools to trust my heart, create focus, and take inspired action. The first tool is man, it's so cliche, but as you were saying that, I was just like, my breath. It's always that
Hmm.
simple, and it's deceptively simple, and I can complicate and create all of these complex tools of workflow management and project management, mind mapping, and all these things. But it always comes back to like in the world of biohacking and tracking and managing what you measure. What is
Hmm.
if there was one thing that you could measure? I would say it would probably be the quality of your breath in every given moment, and that informs us of of what our body needs. Hey, body, what do you need right now? You know? And there are layers and layers to make it more tactical. And what I think about, you asked about tools, right? Tools or
Yeah.
practices.
Tools or practices, yeah.
Think about is like you wouldn't just go into a hardware store and go, I love tools. And the person's like, can I help you? And you're like, no, I just love tools. They're like, no, seriously, like, what are you trying to create? Like, what are you trying to build? I can, direct you. Maybe it's not in this aisle. And you're like, no, I just love tools. I just love collecting tools. I love looking at tools. And I think we see the absurdity in that, but that's essentially, what is so easy to fall into the self-help trap and look for more and more tools.
Yeah.
But I think the powerful thing is learning, yeah, what we want to create. And then once that's clear, the tools are really obvious. It's like, okay, I'm trying to build this, and then the person in the hardware store goes, great, you need this type of hammer. It's over in this aisle.
Mm. Yeah.
So, so the tools at the essence are, I would say that, if we're thinking in systems, the most powerful ones are probably your nervous system saying, putting yourself with the capacity to have clarity, the grounded, courageous state that allows you to take inspired action. And then all of the fundamentals, I share the MEDS pyramid. It's something I've shared with you before. It's meditation, exercise, diet, sleep. These are the fundamentals of human performance. And I believe that we are naturally high performance beings, and that the emergent property of humans, like look at Buddha, he just sits there under a tree for, X amount of days and happens to accidentally start a religion. You know, he gets so much clarity from just sitting there. That that's the power of just like of humans. We do less and
Mm.
we are more in a way.
Stillness
And
speaks.
stillness speaks. So to be able to put ourselves in a physiological state where we're receptive to that wisdom is probably always number one. And that means well hydrated, well slept, all of the boring basics. So these aren't maybe tactical tools. We can get into that. There are so many things, but the tool is only as good as the clarity of what you're creating. And for me, you asked personally. I'll step back from the generalities. For me, uh,
Yeah, pen.
the power of this tool. If we're talking tools, and I know someone wants like the juicy tools, and we can get into that, but like this is so juicy. The power of articulating your thoughts on paper and slowing down your mind to a point where you can consciously choose each word that is most truthful and just dump it all out and get it out of your head and onto paper. Journaling is a super powerful tool.
Mm.
I amplify those with more logic level tools. Think about this as a funnel. Top level of grounding these big ideas into practical, inspired action
Mhm.
that's distraction free and really potent is taking big picture. I use mind mapping at the top. There's a place to honor all of the possibilities. Like, we're in this limitless, ever expanding universe with infinite options. And I don't know about you, but if I try to go get toothpaste, I get overwhelmed by how many options there are. So, scale that
Yeah.
out to the cosmos, and then the level of, the life, the meaning of life. You're like, it's easy to get hung up. So honoring all of the pieces up there, refining it down to project level. And when one tool, questions are great tools. One of my favorite questions are along the lines of the one thing from Gary Keller. Like, what is the one thing such that by doing would render everything else easier or unnecessary? There are other ways of asking that. What would be, what's most alive for you? What's most inspiring? If you could do one thing, and a lot of the times it's the tool of like having a not now bin. I'll try to granulate the next level from mind mapping. I go down to a workflow system that for creatives that I found really is very powerful, because a lot of the times we're trying to do it in our head. So yeah, I just call this the workflow system for creatives. It's a Kanban board, and Kanban is this beautiful model that brings, if you're familiar with like Kaizen and systems thinking, a lot of this came from Japan, and it's basically refining a process, the creative process, and what makes different whenever you're creating. A lot of it started with like Toyota in manufacturing cars, and that's why they have such, like the lifespan of a Toyota car is forever, essentially. But it's this process of going from left to right, the way that we read. How do we take an idea and develop it through the process? So at the project level, a tool helps you get clear is mind mapping that I found. Once you've defined that, you start going into all of the granularity of the tasks that are required to create that project. And in that, I have a brain dump column, and that's where it's like, great. You know when you meditate and you're just trying to be present and get that equanimity of the glass like pool that we hear about, and you just keep getting that and that. Oh yeah, don't forget about that. Don't forget about that. That's the Zeigarnik effect. That's these open loops, and the mind is so brilliant that it holds on to these things that have not made decisions, that have not created resolution. And for us to have a system and a tool that creates resolution and closes those loops, opens up a lot of spaciousness in our mind. And so the tactical version, and you can adapt this, but take the thinking behind the thinking and the thinking behind the tool. This is something that I found is really powerful, is brain dump, and then having your different categories. So get it out. And then the first thing that I do is I have a not now column, and that's to the left. It's almost like a video game, and you're like left, right, like not now. Okay, this thing's coming. Is it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's important. Oh, not important. Important. Super important, actually. Like, that needs to happen like yesterday. Okay. Good thing I remember that. That's not gonna slip through the cracks. But having this way to sift, sort, and prioritize, super important. And then we get down to this next level at the bottom of the funnel, and that is the level of how we actually use our time. So this is, I kind of shared with you like that my ideas on calendar architecture and how we can create structures in our day that are containers that honor our biological rhythms, our circadian and ultradian rhythms, the way that our energy patterns flow, and that we can surf them, and we can also protect our most energetic states for our most purposeful work. So what that tactically looks like at the base level is whenever you're most awake, alert, alive, aligned, like dialed, nothing else is on your plate. You're in an environment. Environmental design is probably the best tool. Like, I'm in an environment right now that doesn't allow me to do anything else. It's so much easier to focus on you than to go do anything else. There are lights right here that make my focus even just go straight to you. And it's symbolic in a way, but having an environment that encourages focus on whatever you intentionally would like to create is such a powerful thing. And just even looking at the way that we design our creation spaces,
Hmm.
like what is, once it's clear what we would like to create, I always ask, like, what are the necessary tools to create that? And once we are clear on those, anything else is a distraction and would be better removed. So we get
Man.
down to this level of calendar architecture where you understand what's most important from you, what's most important now. There's that acronym WIN, what's important now. So it's what's important in the big picture, what's important now, and then it's like when, I know my next step. When am I going to create uninterrupted deep work, mono focused time, and go from reactive multitasking to intentional monotasking? And from that,
Hmm.
when it's that clear and simple, literally all we get to do is go nourish ourselves with whatever fills up our cup, whatever puts us in the most grounded, capable place of creation, whether that be meditation, a walk in the woods, playing with your partner, playing with your dog. Like all of these things now become really productive because you realize that you get to put yourself in the energetic state that's most potent to create from, and you know
Hmm.
what you're creating. So
Yeah,
then
man.
rest is productive. Then the massage is you acknowledge as productive. Then the time socializing with friends is no longer guilty. You're no longer like feeling guilty that you're not working on your thing because you realize that it's actually filling up your battery, and that when you show
Hmm.
up to the thing, because it's clearly defined, it's going to flow out of you better than you could have ever like pulled it. Those are some tools.
Man, that's that's brilliant, man. Because like what I'm hearing from that is like it's create a process where it all streamlines down to how like how can this all be yum, like all of it, like because it's like it all gets to be nourishing, like everything has its role and its place, rest included, leisure time included, playtime included, because it's all they're all complementing each other, and that's what I love about hearing that. And I think one thing I want to riff on now is this, you mentioned a lot of time is like, like distraction free time, and, what's taking your energy, and like, how can you put your focus here is we are living in a time where our attention is consistently under attack. Just like we're just being bombarded with things daily. And, um, a lot of it very intentional. A lot of it is just noise. And I think myself included, I've noticed in the last couple of months, there's also this other side of like we've been conditioned from a very young age to just do a lot of things because that is what generally leads to success, and that's generally what I've been battling with this thing, working through like um, work needs to be hard in order to feel like you've achieved something. And I just know that that's just not true. And,
Yeah.
but also what makes things hard now is this whole other layer of distraction and our attention up for grabs. So I would love for you to speak into about because this also, I just want to be clear, it's very intentional, because when our attention is taken, when our focus is um, removed from ourselves and our hearts and our mission and our purpose, we're very easily manipulated. We become ill because we're in a more stressful internal state, nervous system wise. People aren't as healthy, people aren't as connected, people aren't as in love with their life or getting energized, because these distractions actually drain us of energy, so we don't do the things that we really want to do. So I'd love for you to speak into this and what you're noticing, like and why this is just so crucial to clarity. And yeah.
There's so many places that we could go with that. Could you prompt me one more time? Just like simple.
Yeah. Yeah, with all these things around us that are bombarding us to steal us, our attention and focus,
Yeah.
why do you think it is so crucial to not only be aware of this, but really have agency over this domain of our life?
That's the word, agency. It's agency, it's autonomy, it's recognizing the power of your choice and the power of your focus. And whatever we place our focus on is literally what creates. And when it's diffused, we are creating from a disempowered place, which leads us, which is great for consumerism. It's great for people running ads too. A lot of those, if you study copywriting, it starts with pain points. It's usually marketed towards a not enoughness. So if you are recognizing and remembering that you are a fully whole sovereign being that's autonomous, that recognizes the power of their choice, that safeguards their mind and uses their energy really intentionally, you're powerful. You're powerful. And not everyone wants a bunch of powerful people.
Yeah.
I do. I want to see everyone in their power, but I'm a weirdo. So I don't think, at large, I don't think the system wants us in our power, in our autonomy. And I think there are a lot of things set up so that we're distracted, detached from ourselves and others. Our attention is diffused, and we're dependent on something instead of ourselves.
I think that's it right there, because that comes back to the mission of this whole podcast, empowering people to be the artist of their lives. And with this conversation around distraction and focus, it's so easy also to get into that energy of complaining about it. But what I love about what you said is, no, your choice is the power.